today what we're going to do is I'll give you some broad, make some broad statements, and then Union is also the lead for finance administration. Is going to run you through the budget, and during his presentation, I may interrupt him and make some comments. And then what we really would like to do is open it up to you all, so you can really give us advice, direction, thoughts, and what have you. If you read the SP Direct from, was that the third installment that has the third installment from last week, you probably saw that I featured some of the comments that were made at the open forum. So if whatever we gather here, we'll also be happy to feature. And as you saw, I protected my sources. I didn't say who said what, so I will protect you as well, regardless of what you say. But I think that it is really important for us to hear from you, as well as for us to share thoughts that you may have with the college community. As you probably know, we have had some interesting discussions, thoughts, arguments, and what have you over the past year or so in regard to budget. What happened to us is that we had expected to have a certain enrollment because the budget is derived to a great extent from FTES. And even when they're giving us additional funds, they don't just say, hey, we'll give you an extra $1 million, but rather they say, we're going to distribute it based on FTES. Therefore, the institutions that have the highest FTES normally get most of the money. Institutions that have increased in enrollment get the additional funds. And so if you don't grow as an institution, you are likely not to get a lot more funds. Even when the governor's budget features major increases for the community colleges in general, it doesn't mean that we are all benefiting at the same level as each community college is. There have been some discussions on a particular committee I serve on legislation for the league about protecting colleges that are not growing. However, the colleges that are growing, especially San Diego and Los Angeles, are completely against that, and then with them they carry the rest of the South because they are growing, and so they are really opposed to protecting the institutions that are not growing. What happens is that when the economy is bad, everybody wants to come to college so they can get a better job. When the economy gets better, they decide they didn't get the job that they wanted, and then they start coming to college. And so during the time when we have a lot of students, the state cannot give us money, and they forget that they couldn't give us money. When the economy is good and our enrollment is lower, then they say we have money to give you, but we can't take it because we don't have the students. They're all gone to work. Well, not all of them, you know, a lot of them do that. So our enrollment is really counter-cyclical to the economy, which begs us to really do the best that we can, not only to maintain a steady enrollment management plan and practice, whereby we do everything that we can so we can attract as many students as possible on an ongoing basis. But we also need, and you've heard me sharing that a lot in SP Direct, we also need to make sure that we have a strong enough fund balance, a strong enough way to get more revenues, so that the time when enrollment is up and the state is not going to give us money, we can fund unfunded FTS and then maintain those unfunded FTS for when the time gets better. I've shared this with some of you before. In 2009, at a meeting with the Chancellor of Los Rios, as well as the CSUs and UC Davis, when every community college was complaining about the fact that they can't pay for the enrollment that they have, and therefore they have further enrollment. The Chancellor proudly said, for us, it's not that bad. We're going to take $12 million from our fund balance so we can fund the enrollment. And which he did for about 2 years. And then when the economy turned around, he was able to really afford the additional, to reap the benefits from the enrollment that the state is now paying for. So all of that really sends us really clear messages in terms of how we need to make sure that we protect ourselves. I also believe that very few community colleges do outreach the way that the outreach should be done. Very few of us really cater to the students who want to come to us. Because we are here, they know we are here, except that a lot of them don't know we are here. They know they've forgotten that we are here. They know we are here, therefore they're going to come to us. If you, in enrollment management circles, what we say is that if you, as a community college, emulate what the private liberal arts institutions do, or the for-profit, you will never have an enrollment problem, which means that once a student says, I'm interested in you, we need to go after the student as much as we can. And because now we have technology, it is a whole lot easier for us to do that. Now, to ramp that up, it's going to take time and all of that. So it brings me to what we are looking at. The plans that we have in enrollment management and budgeting and all of that is to get ourselves to 8,500 FTEs for the coming year. So our budget will be based on 8,500 FTEs. Now, there are several ways we are going to work on that, and there are several opportunities that we really have. One of them is the plan that the Enrollment Management Committee, I'm assuming the Enrollment Management Committee, you're probably there, what have you, is that we're going to take summer 2015. We're going to take fall, spring, and then summer of 2016, and then count all of them as 1 year. And with that, we think that we have the potential of getting 8,500 FTEs if enrollment keeps up the pace that it is keeping. However, this is not enough. To me, that's not enough, and which is the reason why I've called for what Julian loves me to say an enrollment blitz, like the blitz in football that he's going to start watching in the fall. The blitz is that we have many opportunities to really get enrollment. One of them is follow-up with students, such as I've explained to you. So Shamila Johnson is on top of that, supported by several others, Roger Clegg and Peter Kamish and Aileen and all of those folks, so that we can really capture the students who say that they're interested in us, and so we can communicate with them. We had a meeting recently where we talked about different messages that we want to send, and there are certain things that my office will be doing. But we want to really go after the students who say that they're interested in. Because if we can get a whole lot more than the 8,500 FTS that we send, not only can we get more money from the state, but we can also be more certain about future years. Because as we combine these 4 terms to get the 8,500, we have to keep growing in order to maintain the 8,500. And I think that we can maintain it. We have a whole lot more students who are interested in us than those who actually register, and there's no reason for us not to do that with this question. We also have opportunities that have been opened up for us at the state prison. Even though it is a challenge, but we should look at those challenges as opportunities, and we need to invest in them to make sure that we really convert them into those opportunities. The sheriff's office came to Julian and me about 3 years or 4 years ago almost, and they said that they have a lot of opportunities for us to take advantage of because of the new jail they were going to build. And they have hired a lot of new people they want to train. So they said that they would like for us to train them. And as recently as 2 weeks ago, the sheriff came to my Rotary Club and he was talking about what they plan to do. And he mentioned his interest in Solano Community College to do a lot of training for them. And they have other things they're going to do in terms of, this is now training for the officers, but they want to also train some of the inmates, and so they also want us to do all of that. We have opportunities with the Juvenile Detention Center, whereby they want for us to train. We have interest from Fairfield High School, whereby they'd like for us to do automotive for them, because our automotive program is becoming very successful, so they're very interested in that. We also have built and should continue to nurture our own 2 high schools. What I mean is that we are hosting Vacaville Unified School District middle college or early college program. And this coming year, they will have 180 students. They want them to be placed on the campus. So we have access. That's what 180 students will have access to. Now, it's not all going to be full-time because they still need to do their high school. But as the juniors become juniors, they're going to need to take more college courses, or they'll be eligible to take more college courses than before. And then we have here on this campus, the Fairfield Unified School District that has come to us, and they now have 60 students here. And so doubling the numbers next year should be about 120. So that's another 120 students. So if all comes together, we have about 300 students, or if you give or take some, could be 250 students that we can take advantage of by making sure that we provide access to. Now, when we visited Contra Costa College, when we were developing the middle college high school, one of the things that I remember the president said to us is that when the district, when Contra Costa district, community college district has issues in general with enrollment, Contra Costa College doesn't, because of the relationship that it has with the school district, because of the fact that they have the middle college high school there. In addition to that, they partner with the school district to offer additional courses that are not even part of the middle college high school. So we have those opportunities we can really take advantage of. And we're not talking about 3 years down the road, we're talking about right now. But it all depends on how we want to maximize it, how we want to take those opportunities. Now, what we've been complaining about is that there are not the middle college high school students are taking classrooms away from us, and the nuisance and all of that. It doesn't have to be, because as I mentioned to many of you, the The voters of Solano County and Winters considered Middle College High School as one of the top priorities for Measure Q. Therefore, we can invest Measure Q funding to get classrooms to accommodate those Middle College High School students. So they do not have to be present because the citizens of the voters of Solano County and Winters really provided, and the homeowners are providing what they need in order to have access. So we have what it takes if we want to take advantage of it. Now it is like everything else. If those of us, if we complain a lot about what's going on, and we are not putting our energy where we can grow, it is normal that we don't grow. But if we instead, stay in our lane and say that that person is not going, that opportunity is not going to pass us. We're going to grab it. We're going to maximize use of it. We will not have a budget problem. We don't have to have a budget problem. We can solve our own budget problem because at last, and at least the way that we look at it, for the next 2 years or so, the state of California is going to be funding the community colleges properly. But it depends on whether or not we really want to take advantage of the opportunities that are provided to us. To talk about the opportunities that are provided to us, I go to my VP for Finance and Administration, and we will go over the budget with you. And then, as I said, I'll make some comments, and then we'll engage in some conversation, hearing from you what you think.
Thank you, Dr. Laguerre. It's still morning. You heard our president talk about the opportunities.
You started with a joke last time, and it's no joke.
Well, next time maybe we could have brought the mixing.
Oh. It's good.
I don't know if my wife would like it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's one of my daughters interesting. That's particularly my youngest.
Oh, okay. Good. Sure, we can watch football. Yeah.
So the president shared with you many of the opportunities that certainly will form an integral part of how we're going to get back to both enrollment stability as well as financial stability. So I was going to talk a little bit about the budget and how this perhaps then ties in. And there are really 3 points that I'd like to. One is I'm going to present you with some sobering facts. Start with, we all understand the framework from which we operate from. Then I'm going to talk about and elaborate on some of the rosy things coming up, and we'll see up here on the screen. But unfortunately, I can't control the document. But this document is on our website, and it shows the governor's proposal in January for 15-16, and then perhaps end with some words of caution and additional opportunity. So for 14-15, this is the sobering. For 14-15, we're faced with a structural deficit. Given the information we have at this point, we're looking probably 2 million plus in budget gap. Right? So we're spending, or set to spend about 2 million plus more than what we're taking in. 2 million plus deficit. So you might ask yourself, well, how did we get there? We alluded earlier to the loss in the MTS. We essentially went from 8,500 to 8,200 last year, and we were held harmless. But that 300 amounts to about 1.4 million. So we lost 1.4 million in revenues as a result of the FPS with back. So there are opportunities, and as he pointed out, we need to strive for getting to at least 8,500, 15, 16. Now, in addition to the revenue loss, we looked at increases in expenditure. So we saw the step and column movement, we saw increases in health and welfare, we certainly saw increases in the pensions, right, STRS and personal health. Then in addition to that, in order to really beef up our offerings, we spent more money in the classroom, we provided more support on the instructional side through coordinators. And then in addition to that, we looked at various accounts, so there were hourlies, there was legal, there was advertising. So all of those in combination, trying to get us where we need to go, added to that deficit. Now, what were some of the steps taken to minimize that, or at least hold the deficit to where it is? You might recall that between Leslie, the police office, Wade, and myself, we asked you guys to submit expenditures before you spend them. So we did a review. Part of that, really helped us stave off the additional expenditure. We also looked at some of the categorical programs to the extent that it was allowable. We extended from there. We have things like the triple SB, SEP, instructional equipment. So the instructional areas actually benefited quite a bit from those additional categorical funds. We had instructional supplies that were restricted, and also CATIA, just to mention a few. And so that helped us operationally while receiving unrestricted help on the expenditure. And you might also remember that in many instances we delayed some of the hirings. That we still have like 4 or 5 vacancies that we did fill. One and a half of those positions by accounts payable and anti payroll. And we also worked with some of our program managers to address what I loosely labeled encroachments on the general fund. So we worked and really stopped the bleeding, if you will, on the workforce development continuing education. That was for the moment suspended. We worked certainly with the SVD folks and were able to reduce the projected deficit. So thank you, Kelly. We worked with our child care fund program to at least get them to stay within the projected deficit. We're hoping that for 15-16, we will have a much lower deficit that is not a break-even proposition. One of the things that has me start to look at is that we for 14-15 not going to pay the post-employment benefits or actuarially determined contribution, because that would add another $300,000 to our deficit. So we're going to postpone that till 15-16. Now, on the bright side, so we did engage in activities that ended up in some energy rebates. So Dwight here, Dwight and his team, and was in collaboration with team, were able to put in place some energy initiatives that resulted in electric savings. But at the end of the day, for 14-15, we're looking at sizable structural deficit. Okay, so it looks a lot more rosy in 15-16. So you guys might have read the reports that have come through, certain revenues that are coming in now, much better than projected. And so that may actually translate into some additional one-time funds for us. This is very small, and unfortunately, I can't increase the size to play with that a little bit. But for those of you that are interested, it is also on the website, so I'm just going to talk about it. We're going to see some significant additional support in student services, right, via the SSSB, the Student Services Success Program, as well as the SEP, Student Equity. And so for SSSB, we received just under 1.2 million this year, and we're slated to get an additional 1.2 million next year. Same with the SEP. The SEP is about 400,000. We're looking between those two programs, 1.6 million. It really helps support our students and ensure we put in programs and to strengthen what we do to ultimately then result in greater success for our students. On the unrestricted side, we're looking at a 1.58% COLA. That'll translate into probably about 600,000 for.
Before COLA, and that was part of what I shared with the group that open forum last time, is that with the SSSB and the equity, the whole state, not just could not spend the allocation that it was given last year. I don't know, I can't tell you at this point how much more money we have that we're not going to spend for this year. So we were, because the spending stopped by 30. So as a state group of colleges, we asked the chancellor's office that asked the legislature if we could carry the funds that we do not spend to another month. So they gave us the permission to carry additional funds that we're not spending during 14-15 for the first month of the year. What that means, and then as you heard, I think it was 100 million last year. That was for the state, and this year it's going to be 200 million for the state. So the governor has pretty much doubled the investment into SSSB and equity. So there will be a whole lot more money coming in. Now, a lot of this is dependent upon our data. You have to earn it through orientation of students, recruitment of students, the type of things. And we are not doing too well in that particular area. And that's one that we're working hard to correct. But what that means, though, for us is that while there is indeed the challenge of not having enough FBS, there is a side of the institution where a lot more funding can be taken. The funding comes with conditions. So if you are, if it is SSSB, you need to be doing that. It's to fund activities that support student success. And if it is equity, it needs to be activities that support equity. You heard me saying earlier that with our plans and everything, including equity in it, I forgot there's a camera. Yeah, when I thought on camera, the students used to call me, Mr. Laguerre, we can't see you. We hear you well. What happens is that with equity, if you have students, if you look at your data, and you see that some students are not succeeding, activities that you want to create to help the students succeed can be funded to number one, SSSB, because it's student success, and number two, from equity. So we do have some opportunities that we can take advantage of. And I think as you look at, there's some work that the English department is going to do that hopefully will transcend to the institution. But as you look at things that you are doing, things that you need funding for, activities you need to conduct in your school, in your discipline, there are opportunities that can take advantage of through that SSSD. So, and equity. So what the thing about it is that we have extra funding. Surely you don't know what the balance is in equity.
No, there are opportunities.
So there are opportunities according to the account holders of equity. It means that there's money. And then the state is going to put more money into it. And if we don't spend it, chances are, as a collection of colleges, chances are the legislature is going to think that we don't need it. So we need your help in coming up with activities to enhance student success as well as equity and diversity.
Thank you, Dr. Laguerre. You guys all read that? Thank you very much, Roger. Yeah, this is on the website, so I want you to take copious notes because know that there'll be a test at the end.
That's the funny part of it.
So, in addition to, of course, the student success money, the governor is proposing to increase the base allocation. And so, as a college, we receive really, there are two big pieces. One is the base allocation, and that's the funding we get for being a college a certain size, as well as having the two centers. And then the biggest piece comes from enrollment. So he proposes to increase this base allocation. Right now for us, it's approximately $5.6 million. Right? For college being under 10,000, it's 2 cents. If the 125 is allocated in, I guess, relation to the total base allocation of the system, that would translate into a 24% increase. So on 5.6 million, that would be what, roughly 1.3 million? So some big dollars. The access, this is where the president was talking about, it's not sufficient to just get 500. That will be our main goal, but we need to go beyond that because that's where we'll be able to tap into this additional growth funding. So what's on the table right now, the $106 million represents about 2%. So for us, that would mean then if we reach 85, or once we reach 85, an additional 170 FPS. Right? And the funding right now is just under 5,000 per FPS, about 4,700. But just to get the rough proportion, then 170 times 5, so we're looking at 8 to 850,000 extra per dollar if we do that. I did start off with the COLA, so there is a cost of living adjustment that the government has on the table, 1.58%. That represents about a little bit over $600,000. So not a whole lot of money, but I mean it's good to see improvement. He's also proposing to change the funding rate for a non-credit, they enhance non-credit. So I know that some of our English faculty looking at our non-credit offerings to see if there's a way for us to get to meet credit criteria. That would then be funded at the credit FTS rate. Right. So right now we get about 4,700 for credit, roughly 2,700 for non-credit, and the enhanced is in between there, about 32. So if we can meet the enhanced credit criteria, instead of getting funded at 3,200, we be funded at 4,700 for FBA. Huge number.
Could you share with them or remind them or me what we mean by it?
So there's just additional criteria. As a college, we have very little or non-credit. Or it could be probably done in conjunction with, some of the work that's been done, 8086, some of the adult education. And I think Michael had previously pointed out that a lot of it will also revolve around completion.
The academic center, in conjunction with several colleges, has put together a very informative.
You have to start.
What?
We go to set up. So everybody can hear you very clearly.
Okay, so the academic center has created a very informative PowerPoint presentation on credit. In a nutshell, we'll be able to get a we can post this on something to do with Julian sites or else. And your curriculum graph. Group up investigation feedback. Garden restrictions. For example, two of the classes that were highly desirable field classes for dancing and PE. Those are not allowable for non-credit, so we don't want to. Non-credit for students is an advantage because they can practice or get ready to classes that they then have a better chance of being in. And some areas in our
Long time frame? It's going to, they're just changing the formula.
So that's permanent?
That's permanent.
well, it's like anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I could kind of change it. So, 10 categories of non-credit funding ESL, so that's a big one actually. About 85%. Immigrant education, citizenship classes. Elementary, secondary basic skills, which could include tutoring, public safety classes, courses for adults with substantial disabilities, parenting, home ec, courses for older adults, short-term vocational, including apprenticeship. So the workforce preparation in conjunction with 886 is allowable on that one. So apprenticeship, sustainable, secondary ESL, and citizenship. I don't know the way that I can do it. It's still rank, but there's a and what is proof of curriculum, and just to iterate from what the state is saying, I don't know that right now. There are about 6 colleges in the state that are gobbling up all the non-credit money.
Like San Diego and the LA. San Diego is gobbling a lot of it. And you know what they have? What they have, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure about San Francisco, but what North Orange as well as San Diego have is exactly the unit that I started here, the workforce development and continuing education. And that's where they focus. They just focus on that. They focus on it. They do it. They do it. Now it takes time to build, and I think that's part of what But it is indeed, if you teach something in welding that could be a precursor for college level welding, that counts. And now it's, they give you the money as if it was a regular credit course. So pretty good opportunity.
So are these courses organized standard course, or are they shorter, more like community ed style, or
Yeah, they're open entry open end. So I don't expect that. Right? There are set up differently. So they pay differently. So they're set up differently. Different outcomes. They'll have a syllabus, but students kind of go. You might start late. I'm not paying you as a state, you're not paying a lot of instead I'm paying per head per day. So for the state, it's not big blocks of money. They're only paying the big question for state is to provide open access to need to do that green power education that can provide a gateway for future and a first negative college service and most difficult with the idea
Terry, that literacy skills probably more of the elementary sector follow. But we'll get more information. Peter?
So how soon will go on now to
ASAP, and yet at the same time, we have the curriculum committee is finishing up for the year. We do have a couple of classes that are non-credit classes that we unified several years ago. For example, library. But yes, so we have a couple of things that we could modify, update, but so probably realistically,
so some things that happen over the summer?
if we want to work on it with someone, but faculty courses are proposed by faculty. The only of the four categories taken for the state wow.
I just we are not, we don't do too well on the so as we go forward with medical credit, sure that faculty and the students are not our ability. Every time we lose some hours,
Oh, it's really bad. I mean, it's sort of how it comes back to us. The case we not have keeping every especially example of how bad they are friends and going out about because they didn't keep the hours set up for the so we have to
We can do that.
Okay. So I'll post this. I think it'd probably be easier to just post it along with the document.
Well, thank you, Leslie. And so we have some opportunities here to not only strengthen and broaden what we do and improve services to our community, but hopefully that will translate into additional revenues for us as well. We're looking at some additional one-time monies in Career Tech and contract ed folks, of course, have some of those some additional funding that's coming down the pipe. There may be some opportunities for us to tie into the apprenticeship programs. I don't believe that we have anything in place at this point.
And what traditionally we do is that you have the apprenticeship program together with the union. So usually when you get apprentice, it's usually carpenter. However, in the state of California, the door is wide open for us to do apprenticeship with almost is there everything but almost everything. So you could have but just think about this, Terry, you are here. I wonder, and we could research that, if we have sports medicine, sports medicine, and you have a lot of teams that don't have trainers in the high schools and around. If we organize something that could be a country for them to do that. Secondly, if you look at biotech, you have the students go to internships at different places that could count as and then you have even have those people, young people who may be assistant coaches to them. So all of those are opportunities that are out there that we can. And so you name your favorite major, and as we probably remember, we have had some of our French students who have gone to elementary school or junior high school to teach French because they don't have French teachers. And we could have music students because the Fairfield Unified School District is providing now 1 hour a month. Hopefully they changed it because there was an uproar about that. But our music students could go to the elementary school and, you know, those kids are to go into things. So that could be issue. And then our own maintenance staff would have students who are learning things and do a apprenticeship. But anyway, so Dwight, go ahead. Because that's what you intended to say.
Under Measure Q, I know when we signed to go away, I think there will be some kind of collaboration between community college or setting up a apprenticeship program. And I don't know where we are with that. College Foundation, they had a great event this past Friday there, and they probably 500 and stuff. I won't say people. Yeah.
Because there's some probably along with the I mean, this particular event, if we do it properly, we probably give some credit for us. We just the board just approved a concept by which we will implement this. Yeah.
Also, there is an outreach program which has to do with the union disadvantage. That will allow them to take response. There is a clause in the TLA which does talk about programs. I think it's just like everything on that. Look at the unions there.
And that's what workforce development education, that's what we have. Again, stuff that we could get enhancement credit for.
The infrastructure is there. And those two gentlemen, White, also tapped into the next bucket Prop 39 funds, right? So you may recall the big rebate we received last year for the energy, the lighting retrofit. And I know these gentlemen are working like our HVAC systems that should translate into some additional rebates as well as obviously electric savings.
Why are you changing that? Doing something maybe go ahead and share is that we are doing some work this summer. Many of you are aware of because ways to keep that and start going through that process. But you know, the end of all of this pain, that's better, more functional mechanical system, so that we can't control the air. We've already done that. The HVAC project is done 3 buildings. So these are improvements that are kind of behind the scenes above the ceiling. White and I are coordinating also. And so over time, over the next summer, hopefully you start to see these improvements and we'll get less comfortable with all the ceiling breaking HVAC.
This has been an ongoing project for the last couple of years. The big project is getting the relationship. We're installing controls and how we install controls. The infrastructure of some of these buildings where we had black ducts where one section of the building was heat through the roof. The time all that together. So bringing it in was like it was reduced from 1.1 million. Savings going back.
So obviously, infrastructure, as those 2 gentlemen pointed out, is crucial. Right? Because if we have good infrastructure, then the buildings we put on top of the infrastructure is going to work as designed. You know, one of the there's 2 more bullets here. One is the government proposes to pay down the deferral by next year, meaning that should help us in terms of our cash flow and institution not having to borrow for at least not as much as we had in the past. And just to put that in proportion, just 2.5 years ago, this system deferrals were just under $1 billion. $1 billion. So in really 3 years' time, he's, as you know, as the government, he paid that down. That'll help all of us. The last item, if the government's budget comes to pass, then we're looking at some one-time funds in the form of this block grant, which will be paid in relation to the FPS we have that we're serving. Okay, so that could translate into as much as $2 million for the cost. Right, so if I were to sum it all up on the revenue side, we're looking probably at $5 million plus in new money. 5 million plus, but you know, quite a bit of one-time funds. But here's where the caution comes in, right? Because if nothing is being done about the structural imbalance, with all the new expenditures that are coming up next year, and that's on the increase in health and welfare, increase in PERS, we got you know, the settlement, we got potential retirement incentive. The expenditures are adding up to over $5 million as well. So basically, the money's coming in, it's going out. So we have, you know, lots of work to do as an institution to ensure that we remain strengthening our fiscal viability.
So the money coming in is mostly capital.
The block grant is unclear at this point. You know, they've been talking about if it's strictly mandates, which you know this amount of money is I guess way more. That is unrestricted. If you're talking about instructional equipment, that's categorical. Well, triple SP is what's at the top, and that's a different bucket. But you're right, those are categorical. But there may be activities that we are engaged in as an institution that qualify us for triple SP funding.
Well, could you repeat that?
There are activities that you know many of our folks here at this institution are engaged in that would qualify as the triple SP. So it's not just counseling, not just student support, it's not just like tutoring, but there may be activities, and I think we need to carefully explore that.
And so where we could give the general fund a break, we should, and make sure that we use that people.
So, 5 million that the potential of 500. Yeah, that's the correct. So we don't have to.
Yeah,
Almost the majority.
Part of it will be.
part of that.
Yeah.
So if, I mentioned that earlier, if we reach 8,500, that means about 1.4 million in additional apportionment dollars. If you reach 8,400, and it's about maybe 920, 40,000. If you reach 8,300, then it's only about, just under half of that. So for each 100 FPS, it's roughly 465,000.
So if you look at the pay down outstanding mandate claim, the allocation is per FPS. So the higher FPS, the more we can get from that. So that is tied to that. And then with triple SP, it's really tied to activities that we do and how we record, how accurate we record that.
And with PSP, there's regulation that you must follow with amount of claimable activity can claim under PSO. And as we were looking at data, some of the projects do serve the student break, but don't have a record of how you serve the student.
You need to, record is important, otherwise you end up saying number. So we don't want that to happen. We can say number, I think it's thing. That's not enjoyable, but it happens. But I think that as I shared at the last open forum, there are few people who know what those things are that you can. And that's why, unless one is interested, unless one really takes the time to get to know it, there are opportunities that you can have, both from equity and from triple SP that you may take advantage of. Now, one of the requests that was made of us during the last open forum is to have someone who could work with the different schools to determine activities that they have that could be funded with triple SP. So we are looking for people, folks who may be interested in working with our faculty in particular to see what activities they may be doing at the school level that may be applicable to triple SP and to it. So let us know. That's really, you know the school really well, the whole college really well. You volunteer for that. Yeah, other questions?
So there's a lot about how fun the SPS and some of these things like this. But the other side of that equation is the cost of acquisition. Is that something that we actively look at, so bringing that down, or what are the factors there?
Yeah, I think as if you get the funding and you're not collecting as many FPS as possible per funding, if your FPS costs you a whole lot more than what it is that you're being reimbursed for, you are in a big trouble. So I think that as we look at the acquisition of FPS, we need to make sure that we're not spending $2 million in order to get that $1.5 million. Because that would be pretty stupid if we do that. So we need to be smart about it. So as we look at how we the activities we do, how we schedule, how we cancel classes, how we let classes go, I think all of that needs to be part of the management of enrollment to make sure that we do not end up spending more more to get. We are way down in terms of where we should be, in terms of our class sizes or activities. But I think that this is stuff that we need to take care of as we go into negotiation. Those are things that we definitely talk about at this table. Yes.
And we're really trying to target graduate students on those standards. But I don't think we can learn that we're to students on here should get them registered in a whole road and registration. I personally registered the somewhere yesterday. Without being hurdle. And these are students that do have issues that they have to navigate for that study. And it's not for lack of OER being incredible and the people themselves are outstanding in every obstacle we hit. We got it fixed, but we're persistent. And many of our students don't persist. And that's one of the reasons why they give up with those units. I would like to see us consider going to registration fairs. We need some type of registration fairs that once registration opens, students can go to the location, and this would be at night and on the weekend, because they can't do it during the school day. Incoming students. This is not an issue, by the way, fall to spring. Those are continuing students in master for the most part. That's the majority of our enrollment. This is a summer fall. But when there's nights or weekends, and now when they go there, the counselors that clear their prereqs are totally clear. And they leave Solano enrolled. Because right now, they have to come back so many times. And it's so frustrating. So they get in to get an assessment test, and that's wonderful, but it doesn't correlate to another return trip, weeks delay. And then enrollment opens, and the system doesn't work. So now it's calls to OER to fix it. So that would be, I mean, I think, and I know that I would look for this page because now, if we have unspent risk money, and these could, or equity money, allows for access, but to do it on Slack, so let's get our students in their classes, but we need to have generalists present, their prereqs, and counselors there to advise and direct their SATs, and then 10% walk away. And I also think that every administrator dean should serve a few hours fair on a rotation so they truly can see the student experience. Because it's very hard when you don't know how do you fix the system if you don't know all the little bits. Right? When you apply for summer, you actually can't enroll for fall. The system will stop you until you enroll first for summer. How does a student know that? You fill out an application for summer. You apply for fall, this will not let you enroll in summer. There's two certain things, and that's what we need to do. But again, really hard to know all these little secrets. And so again, we persist, the students don't. And we get frustrated students who feel that it's solving problems. No. These are challenges that are at every institution. It's just how you
unless they had the answer.
I do.
She was right.
No, but not here, is you could Jocelyn.
But we only need one.
Yeah.
And I love it, but we only need one, and we needed one.
Not big.
Right, we only, if this weekend, that's when we need it, it's dark.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. We have a few minutes left. 13.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Is there any plans to transform this time?
White husband.
If you're correct, beautification plan. And we're also building part of the flowing for the yard at the time. Like this for next year, we will be. Currently, this district.
Nobody have a question? This is the salary.
So, what we are doing is quite literally water. That's pretty easy. Either wood programs available and maybe we do our research. The issue of waste, that's the connection. So it's considered other than having toilet. It's a pretty we want to roll it out here.
Thank you. We shared with you some of our challenges, some of our ambitions, things that we need to do. We shared a lot of ideas. Some of them we're going to produce in the next version of SQL. So be mindful of the things that we talked about. More than anything, we encourage you to find a way that can helping the college forward with that budget, with that funding students, depending students, and attracting students to the college, and also in any way that you can, encouraging your colleagues to participate actively, like the
question shortly. Thank you very much.
We talk and be in touch. Thank you.